mode.
Hello everyone, my name is LeVar Davis. I'm one of the application engineers with ATS Global in the American market. I'd like to welcome everyone attending this session for the CM4D webinar. During this session we'll be covering some issues that arise when working with dimensional measurement data and how CM4D can help to resolve those issues. So let us begin. So in the manufacturing business, whether you're dealing with automotive, aerospace, or any other type, there's a very high volume of dimensional measurement data that's collected during the life cycle of a product. And this measured data is very vital in determining the quality of your product and the capability of your manufacturing process. But with such a high volume of data, a problem occurs, which is that there's an interpretation that needs to happen by decision makers in your organization to go from the level of data up to the level of understanding before changes can be made to the production process. And of course, this process takes time. And the longer it takes to perform this type of analysis and spot issues that affect product quality, well, the greater the cost to manufacture the product. So this lag between the data collection and the time that it takes to make an intelligent decision can really be called a reality gap. Well, one major solution to this problem is the data management and reporting system known as CM4D. This software package is designed to bridge this reality gap between the product as it's designed and the product as it actually is or measured in the shortest time possible. In other words, the point of CM4D is to minimize it takes between the data collection, the analysis, understanding, and decision making to get your product to accurately reflect its design. So CM4D does this by addressing three major roadblocks to efficient monitoring and decision making. The first roadblock is integrating a variety of data formats from your output devices or your measurement devices. The second roadblock is the difficulty of creating and maintaining very good comprehensive reports. And the third roadblock is the difficulty of manually maintaining the delivery of those reports to the right people in your organization. So CM4D helps to minimize these three difficulties by one, serving as a data normalizer and repository for all the collection devices that you have in your organization. Two, it gives you a very intelligent analytical framework for detailed reporting that's geared toward problem solving. And three, it helps to deliver the reporting content to the point of action. So in discussing this first roadblock, as we mentioned, there's a difficulty in integrating the variety of data formats that come out from the output devices. Now, of course, there's the use of many devices like CMMs, vision scanners, Hill gauges, and the like, and all of these devices are very necessary to measure your product during the build process. However, with such a wide variety of formats that come from these devices, it can be very difficult to compare data between devices. And sometimes important data from one type of device can be neglected due to how hard it is to interpret the format. Well, these problems contribute to what's known as the reality gap by reducing the visibility of certain types of data as well as slowing down that interpretation process. So this issue is actually resolved by one of the programs in the CM4D package called DataSmith. And I'd like to show you DataSmith. Here you see is the DataSmith interface. Again, this program helps to resolve the issue of having multiple output devices with different formats. What you're seeing here is an example of DataSmith in operation. We have a file that has been included in this DataSmith program, and as you see, it's being scanned pretty efficiently for its data. Sections are being broken up. If you notice, there is a major header section, and then there is information below, which is known to be a feature section. And basically, the way the software works is you can design instructions in a very simple manner by using instruction bar drop down. You can change the content of each instruction to tell the software where to go in order to mark data that will appear at that place every time, depending on the format. So in this case, we have a set of instructions that are designed to mark the critical values and pick those out of this file based on the format, which really doesn't change for the device that this came off of. So in creating these instructions and marking the data at these particular locations, we can pretty much design the software any way we need to pick up information from virtually any file type. So this applies for standard CMM files, for Datamite files, for Vision files, anything that you can think of. As long as there's some sort of consistent pattern in the file itself, we can design this program to pick up and mark and then upload all the significant data. We can have more than one format within a DataSmith file, so you don't have to worry about being limited to just one format at a time. You can have as many instruction sets to pick up different formats as you need, or you can have as many DataSmith programs as you need depending on your variety of collection devices and the formats that they output. So again, this gives you the ability to universalize all the information, to put it into one location or one database so that it's all equally visible and available at the time of reporting. The other aspect of this software is the ability to automate the upload process. Once this program has been created and the instructions have been saved, we have the ability to tell software behind the scenes where to go to grab files and which database to put them in, so that the upload process can be completely automated, freeing up the users to do other activities. So as an example, I can grab some data. Let's say I grab an example output file that comes from a collection device. Well, on the system we have places that are designed to monitor information. So let's say that the collection device was programmed to deposit its output files to this directory. Well, as soon as we put it in, the file gets picked up, processed, and now new information is loaded into the database for reporting later on. So again, this really addresses the roadblock of data collection. It doesn't matter what the format is for your collection device. DataSmith can handle virtually all formats and frees you up to do more important activities outside of data collection. Okay, so the second major roadblock that we discussed earlier is the difficulty of interpreting the data that we receive. So we've seen how we can manage the collection process, but once we have the data available, it still has to be read or interpreted. And with a variety of collection devices that you might have, each one might have a simple reporting format that can be with that device, used to read, simple charts or information that comes from the output. But unfortunately, this adds to the challenge of interpreting your data, especially if you're attempting to do comparison between output devices or collection devices. So basically, there's a problem of having shallow and fragmented reporting methods, and this can undercut any attempt to look in depth at any issues or behavior problems going on in your process, or to do some root cause analysis. Now, of course, workarounds can be created in programs like Excel, where you can make macros to load data and do comparisons, but of course that is a very manual and tedious process. So this issue of having fragmented and simple reporting methods is resolved immensely by the main program in the software package called CM4D. So what I'd like to do is showcase CM4D. There are two versions called CM4D Interactive. This version of CM4D is for very quick reporting. So again, once all the information is collected, you're able to load it into one centralized database, and from that point you can use the CM4D Interactive program to get access to all the parts that you have collected throughout time, which you'll see here on the left side of the window. You see a collection of different what are known as routines, and if I double click on one of these, I have the option of loading data by sample. Right here I have the last 10 loaded, and so this program allows you to quickly access and view information for the data that's been measured. At the top here I have a drop down which consists of a number of predefined report types. I can choose one of these and it will display a particular chart of that type and give me information for all the measured values on the part itself. So this drop down can be modified, of course, and have other reports included or taken away. That's not an issue. The same with the chart types that you see. I can zoom in on that. The cosmetics of the charts can be modified according to the company's preferences, and allow you to display the information as you see fit. As I click on these charts, you'll see that at the bottom you have two other option windows. The one in green is used for viewing nominal information about all the features in question. The one in blue shows you the result data for all the values that have been included. As you click, as you see, it will switch to the appropriate row reflecting the information for that particular chart and feature. On the charts themselves, you can right click and have another drop down option. This one includes something called a 6-pack, which allows you to view more statistical data for that particular feature, which you'll see. It will come up in just a few seconds here. So this entire sheet as well could be modified, including the drop-down reports. Outside of what's known as 6-pack, you can have other detailed reports that you want to attach to this. The whole interface, again, is very flexible when it comes to the report types and the cosmetics of the charts being shown. But again, the whole point of the tool is to quickly and efficiently see what's going on with the data that you've measured, and to either spot problem areas or simply do a print off of the current process with this part. Besides being able to see the charts, these data sets here at the bottom, especially this blue one containing the raw values, as well as some statistics, which of course you can modify. If I go here to choose columns, these are the statistics that you have available, which you can turn on and off to either include more columns at the end of this matrix of values. The whole thing can be exported as well. If I choose this export to CSV, it'll create a CSV file full of these values that you can then use in Excel or some other program. So again, the whole point of this interface is to see data very quickly and efficiently. Now this is for quick reporting. The other interface, which is known as CM4D Classic, is shown here. In this interface, we have the ability to create virtually any report that we want. So, and here it serves as a blank canvas where you can, again, create a report that suits the needs of your department or your company in trying to monitor the data that's being collected behind the scenes. So this is an example report where we have a part that's being monitored. As you see, there's a variety of different chart types that we can include in the software. We have a benchmark graph showing values for CPK, statistic values giving you indication of the percentage based on green, yellow, and red, values between or greater than 1.33, between that and 1, and less than 1. We also have the ability to create different tables, line and making, to illustrate, as you see here, different percentage values. We can break up the information that you have into different groups using something called data sets, which allows you to maybe do statistics or calculate information on a specific group of points instead of them all together. So again, the value of the software is the ability to create reports that are as simple or as complex as you need to illustrate or monitor the parts that are being produced in your organization. Here I have a standard trend chart. Of course, the scaling, cosmetics, statistics, everything that you see here is something that can be changed and modified. And the creation of this, it can be done in a very simple way using a tool called Auto Report, where you simply tell the software which points you want to report on, and then it will create the number of sheets needed and arrange the points around so that you can see your data. That's one example of a report. Another with a little more detail is one that was done for an automotive company. Again, in this report, companies realize the power of the software and so decide the type of summary statistics or values that they would like to see, and basically all of that can be done or emulated within the CM4D software. So here we're just showing a chart that shows values of percentages in spec for the entire vehicle throughout time. So you're seeing a trend of pretty much the percentage of values and tolerance. And in these values that you see in the table here, these represent the values that they currently are and the values, how much they've dropped or increased from the last sample. So currently 76%, and it's increased by 2% from the last sample taken. The ones in blue are the same function except given an extra tolerance of 0.5. So again, the emphasis is that none of this is defined in the software itself, but it just gives you the tools to create virtually any type of report that you want. Within the software, you can also do comparisons between different features called constructed features, where you can look at relationships between certain locations on the part if that's what you need to do, and those can be seen or viewed just like any other point and have statistics and information collected about those as well. One other final aspect I wanted to show is something that you can't do in Excel, which is the ability to do virtual alignments. Here I have an example where it to see how two parts fit together, but they are in different alignment schemes to get a more accurate reading on how the parts would fit. In CM4D, we have the ability to create virtual alignments on the data. So it uses something called a 3-to-1 datum scheme, which you see here. I have 3 points for plain datum, 2 points for line, and 1 for a point, which constrains all 3 axes. And if I go and turn the alignments on, you'll see here that the points that are chosen to be the new datums will change back to 0. So if I turn this alignment on and then turn on the next, now both parts are aligned within the same scheme, and when we look at the data that was taken, all of that is being recalculated based on the new alignment. And within the software, as you see, I can do a comparison where I'm looking at the difference between the gaps within these locations while both points are aligned, so that you get a better indication of how one part might fit into another. So all of this just goes to show the power and the robustness of the software to allow you to create any report that you can really think of, simple or complex. So the 2 things that we've seen is the ability to automate the collection process and load data regardless of a collection device, the ability to create quality reports that can't be done outside of CM4D. Finally, the last roadblock to efficient reporting is the difficulty of delivering this information to the right people in the company. So yes, as you've seen, CM4D is very powerful and it can create very useful reports, but no report is useful unless it's viewed by somebody who can understand and respond to the content. Therefore, when you have multiple reports that need to be reviewed by people across a company, but you don't have an effective system of delivery, well, of course, the value of the report decreases with time. So the issue of effective and dependable delivery is resolved with services like CM4D Web and CM4D Scheduler, which we will look at very briefly. So CM4D Web is a service that allows you to publish all of the reports that we saw in CM4D. We can publish those to a web page, and it allows people in the organization who don't use the software personally to still be able to see the benefits or the results of it by seeing the reports that were created by someone else. So as long as people have access to this web page, they can come and browse all the reports that are available. Within this interface, I can look for a report of a certain name. So if you belong to a particular department and are only interested in a particular part or product, I can type that in, and this will filter out everything but the reports that have that name. And it's as easy as clicking on Submit to print that report. So if I click on Submit, it will give you here an indication of how long it's going to take to process. Also, if you've created a report before in CM4D Web, you'll have a history of all the reports that you've looked at previously, so it saves the PDF for you. Okay, so that report's ready. So again, it's as simple as clicking on the report. Right here I have an example that's just come up, and this is looking at the most recent data available for that report. And again, it allows you to retrieve the benefits of CM4D without having it locally installed. It also lets you bypass any department or person who might serve as the middleman or the one responsible for retrieving these reports. If the default samples or data in the report is not what you want to see, you can always click here on Customize. And this allows you to pick your own history of samples. You can say the last 30, that's the default setting, or you can change that to the last 5 or 10, or even use filtering if you have other tags on samples, say by operator or by particular department or area or process. If that information available at the level of datasmith, those can be included so that you can use that information to filter your samples at this level as well. In this particular instance, I'm going to say use selected samples, and I'm going to set my parameter to look about 60 days out, and I'm going to choose just 3. And if I hit submit again, then the software or this website will take your customized query and create a report using the sample selection that you designated. So as you see here, we have those 3 samples in question. And again, illustrating the ability to customize the reports to your liking and giving you instant access to everything that's been created within the CM4D system. Lastly, the only thing to mention is the ability of Scheduler to create reports. Scheduler is a service that we use to create PDF reports on a timed basis that can either be whenever new daily data is available through the automation system, or every day at a certain time. You can have a report created automatically, and then once that's done, you see here that you can simply go to the scheduled reports page within the same interface and simply click on that particular report to view the results. So all of these tools, CM4D Web, the scheduler, and this interface gives you the ability to bypass any person or department and gives you the information as soon as it's available so that it's most valuable to the people who need to make decisions. So with these various functions of the CM4D software and data integration and storage, it means that you're delivering the reporting content to anyone in your organization, and again, this contributes to this allows you to minimize that reality gap time for efficient reporting, dramatically increase the ability to respond quickly and effectively to sudden challenges, and therefore increase communication between different aspects of the organization. And the bottom line of all this is that it translates into the maximum value for your collected data, the shortest time possible between data collection and your decision making, and the maximum amount of cost savings for your production process. So that concludes the CM4D webinar for now. I'd like to thank everybody for their time and listening to this presentation. If there's any questions that you have about what we've reviewed, please feel free to type them in the chat window and I can answer those. Otherwise, I thank you again for your presence and hope you have a great day. Okay, so again, thank you for attending and hope everyone has a good day. Thank you very much.